Hi, my name is Marcy Paula. I'm author of the blog Quirky Quacker, and today we'll be discussing with you the universal hot self-centered matrix. It's everything a woman needs to know about men. First, we have this axis here. This is the self-centered axis. Then we have the hot axis. The hot axis is, as usual, measured from 0 to 10. We're all familiar with that. The self-centered axis is measured from 4 to 10 because, of course, there is no such thing as a man who is not at least a 4 self-centered. Then we have the hot self-centered line here. It's very important to remember where the hot self-centered line is. As a rule, we do not hang out with or spend time with men who are not, at least in our mind, a 5 hot. This is your no-go zone. Unless, of course, you're a gold digger. And if that's the case, you might want to rethink your life choices. So, below a 5 hot is your no-go zone. We don't hang out with these men. We just don't go here. Life is better that way. Between about a 5 and an 8 hot, this is your date zone. You can meet these men and spend time with them, but remember that while you're in the date zone, your goal is to move out of the date zone to a more permanent location. So that's your date zone, between a 5 and an 8 hot, but below the hot self-centered line. Above the hot self-centered line is your douchebag zone. These are your men who wear backwards hats, your used car salesmen, anyone named Chad, etc. These are the guys that are always hitting on your friends, that ditch you to party with their boys, and that you spend the whole relationship complaining about to your friends. They also are always trying to take off their shirt to show off their abs. That's your douchebag zone, above the hot self-centered line. Now, it's very important to remember that you can't just observe one man one time and get reliable data. You have to observe him over a course of time. Because at any point, a man who you have previously located on the chart can be influenced by his friends and or alcohol, vanish, and reappear in a less desirable location on the chart. So what you want to do is, over time, collect a cluster of data, and then once you have a cluster, you can consider that reliable. Moving on, we have this zone here. This is above an 8 hot and still about a 7 self-centered. This is your boyfriend zone. You can stay in the boyfriend zone indefinitely. These are men you meet and introduce to your parents and your family and your friends. They're good looking and they're reasonably not self-centered most of the time. That is your boyfriend zone. Now, above an 8 hot and between about a 5 and a 7 self-centered, that is your husband zone. If you meet this guy, you might want to consider keeping him. So, above an 8 hot, between a 5 and a 7 self-centered, that is your husband zone. Above an 8 hot and below a 5 self-centered, that is your fairy tale zone. These are your selfless men who swoop in on white horses and save you from your problems. They don't exist in real life, only in fairy tales. So if you're holding out for Prince Charming, you might end up old and alone with a bunch of cats. Now I know what you're thinking, but I met this guy and he's so nice and selfless and he always listens to my problems and feelings and he's got a smoking hot body. He's about a 2 self-centered and a 9 hot. You might want to be careful because he is in this zone here. And he's probably more interested in men than he is you. So, that is your universal hot self-centered matrix. For more, please visit my blog at quirkyquacker.com.
Quack, quack.